deleting some of us in a minute or something, but I want you guys to stay here because Gerald, I got something I got to hit you with, and I may have DC kind of help address that, and then Damo. But guys, I'm going to introduce you to our trading expert. This guy is a master trainer. This guy is a master trader. This guy is a funds manager. This guy has the ability to do all the things that are necessary in order for us to complete the puzzle, so to speak, when it comes to currency trading. And I put a lot on his plate when it comes to this, because you guys know we've already rolled out so many additional programs, and he has spent a lot of time taking care of a lot of the due diligence that's necessary in regards to 3-letter agencies that are out there that require compliance in regards to this stuff, taking care of a lot of the back end stuff as far as the systems and services that he's able to offer, which we are partnering with his company. Literally, Manage My Trades will be provided by DC and his company to our members. Okay, so which is a great thing. And so I want you to hear about that. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring up our special guest, Mr. DC Eastman. So there he is. He looks awful comfortable. So, you look great, buddy. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Excited to be here. I've been waiting on it. I've been all excited to be here. And I keep saying, is this the right Thursday?
It is. It is the right Thursday. It is.
Very good.
So it was a Thursday late, but it's still a Thursday. That's a good thing. So.
All right. We'll make a Thursday late a Thursday great.
There you go. Well, listen, DC, I'll tell you what, before I get into some of this stuff, I am going to explain some of this, and then I'll let you kind of touch on it as well, because I know you have some identifiers, some things to look for when it comes to this in the industry. And when I say we're trying to do things different, we're trying to do it right, we're trying to be in compliance with the laws that govern this industry and stuff, I want to make sure that I really clarify why I have to say that. And why I have to say that is because of what we've seen in the past. And I'm not going to mention names of companies. I'm not going to talk bad about companies. I'm not going to do any of that because I don't believe in doing that. But at the same time, there are things you need to be able to look out for when it comes to this industry, and the things out there that are not in compliance, yet these companies still seem to do it and fly under the radar sometimes until they actually get caught. And I'm going to give you a few examples. First of all, any company in the currency trading industry that requires you to set up a VPN, okay, now a virtual private network, to where you have to claim that you are in a different country in order to log in or participate in a trading platform, guys, number one, that should be a red flag. Because if a company has to ask you to lie about where you're at, then you know you're hiding your location for a reason. Okay, and it's not for security purposes. Okay, so don't think that. It's not for security. It is to skirt around the laws that would prohibit you from participating if you said you were sitting in your house in Falmouth, Kentucky, like where I am. Okay? That's the problem. Now, the reason this happens is because in order for these companies to do what they do, most of them are participating on platforms that allow you to utilize a 200-to-1 margin. Now, I know you may not understand this, and you'll learn all this stuff through DC's training, and you'll get to understand more about what I'm saying. But in the United States, in order to do things legally, the U.S. only allows you to use a 50-to-1 margin on your money. Now, the reason for that is to protect you. It's to keep you from over-leveraging yourself and end up literally blowing your account or losing all your money because your margins were so high that you were implementing trades on mostly borrowed money. Okay? so to speak. And so that's why these guidelines are put in place. That's why VPNs are used by some of these companies to skirt around that, because it's not legal to do that and use it to a platform with a 200-to-1 margin in the United States. That's one thing you got to look at. You also got to look at the number of companies that have started up in this industry and that have been shut down or that are no longer in existence 6 months, a year, 2 years later. You need to look at that, because there are a lot of companies that are not transparent. They don't show you the trades that they're doing for you. They end up maybe utilizing money from new members to pay old members and portraying those things as profits on trades, which is the definition of a Ponzi scheme. Okay. And that's why you see these things shut down. But because of people's lack of knowledge in regards to this industry and how things work, it allows those type of companies to take advantage of people. It allows them to be able to do that, because you get excited about the hype, about somebody posting that they made 36% this month in trades and they didn't have to do anything. It was all done by this company, and they promote that, and people buy into the hype and think, I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that. I want to be able to do that. And they don't do their due diligence. Just understand, we're doing our due diligence. We've done a ton of due diligence, and I can tell you, I know DC has as well in regards to this industry, and we want to make sure that as we roll this out, we do it correctly. Now, before I turn this over to DC and we hit him with some questions real quick that I know you guys are going to want to know, I want to tell you how we're going to roll this out. First of all, we're going to our leadership in MWR Financial. You guys know we run everything by our leaders prior to actually just implementing it with the field and implementing it to our members. So we have put together a group of leaders that all got a text this afternoon that they will be the first to go through the actual training platform that DC has, okay? So that they can participate in it, they can see it, they can see what kind of value that there is there, and so that way we can participate with their feedback and on how we may be able to improve something, or DC, or maybe what they're getting out of it, and make sure that they're as excited as we are about the training they're about ready to receive. Okay. And so that's one thing. The next thing is that we have a group of people that came to our Fort Lauderdale event. They will receive an invitation as the first. There's about 350 to 400 of them that will be able to have the first opportunity to be able to participate in the training once our leaders are set up on the platform and actually going through that process, and we gain some feedback. Okay. But we'll probably start with a pre-registration, allowing those people to pre-register, and then they'll be able to access the system once they have pre-registered as soon as we say go, so to speak. Okay. Then we're going to roll it out. And DC, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, because I know we've discussed a lot of things, but we want to roll it out to, after that initial group is in, top it off with the first 1,000 members that participate. Now we'll open it up to another 1,000, very shortly afterwards. All right. But we want to make sure that we have live data in the system, that all platforms are working correctly. That's why we're beta testing and allowing leaders to participate. That's why we're doing it with the next group, which is our members that participate or came to our Fort Lauderdale event, where we actually talked about this. And then we'll roll it out to the remainder of people that will fill up that first 1,000 slots. Very shortly after that, we will roll it out and open it up for another 1,000, because we will have the data we need to make sure that the systems are good to go. Okay. for that, which I believe they are. I'm not even worried about that. But anytime you add a lot of live data to a new system, anything can happen. And you guys have already seen that. Thank goodness everything we've rolled out, there's been a little bug or a little issue here and there. All of them have been corrected, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Sometimes you got to make a mistake to learn from it, but learning from it allows you to be able to fix it the next time. And so all that's already happened with the services that we have in place. Now, with that, DC, was there anything I missed in regards to that, or anything that you want to add to that?
I think that's great in the fact that we start with compliance first, education right in there so we understand what we're talking about. And so when I describe what it is that I do, whether that's in professional circles or here amongst friends, it is I am a trainer, I am a trader, I am a funds manager, in that order. So for those of you that are coming through the educational track, you're coming through for that trainer educational piece. And we're going to focus right from the very beginning. What is it? What is it not? And then you know what you can say and what you can't say, because words have meaning. And you hit the nail on the head when you said we are probably in the most highly regulated industry in the world. And in the United States, we're in the most highly regulated country in the world. So this is one of those things that when we roll it out, we want to make sure we roll it out correctly. And Mr. House has done a fantastic job. Whole team here, fantastic job. And I encourage the feedback from the leaders. If you see anything or have any questions of, what did you say there, or what was that phrase, or whatever it is, because we got to keep that lingo tight in this area, in this profession. And that's exactly what we're going to do. That's the reason we're rolling it out this way.
Yeah. No, and DC, let me go back to something else too, because I think this is important, is that, and we've had these discussions many times, and Damo, myself, you, even I've talked to Gerald about this. One of the things that we know has happened in this industry is the field gets very excited about a program, and then they go start talking about it on social media. They start talking about their results. They start showing, and they do not put disclaimers out there all the time like they need to. Guys, I am going to tell you this. We have an unbelievable responsibility to protect this opportunity and this company for every single one of you. And you have that same responsibility. I'm going to tell you right now, we will need the help of all of you to police this and make sure that people are not making false claims, that people are not talking about past performance on what we're offering or what we're doing without putting in disclaimers that says my results are not indicative of the results that you may potentially receive, and past performance does not guarantee future results. Because I will tell you, we may give somebody a chance to correct the mistake, and I have a feeling we will, and delete whatever they have done if it gets reported to us, but they will only get one shot at compliance on this. Manage My Trades is going to be a great program for MWR Financial, okay? But we all have a huge responsibility to make sure that we police this and we make sure that people are doing things the right way. They're not overselling. They're not overpromising, okay? They are providing the compliant information that we give them to market this program as well as everything else in MWR Financial. If they're stepping outside of that lane, realize they're jeopardizing your opportunity. They're jeopardizing, and we're not going to have it. We're not going to have it. And the only way that, God forbid, we ever got questioned about that by a three-letter agency or a regulator is to show that we have taken every measure possible to police that and correct the issues. And we will be on them quickly, because you do not have to oversell something like this. You just don't. It will sell itself. Okay. And so I want to make that clear, because again, what DC said, what I've said, one of the highest regulated industries in the world, in the highest regulated country in the world. All right. We don't have a choice but to do it right. If you guys want this program, that's the price we pay. Excellence is the price we pay. Okay. Honesty is the price we pay. Compliance is the price we pay to have access to something like this. And I hope you guys can respect that and appreciate it, because I hate doing that. I hate saying all this stuff, but it has to be said. I'd rather just focus on the positive. But we said we're going to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly of this type of opportunity. And what you should feel really good about is that you know you have leadership in this company, not just me, okay? But you have DC and Damo, all the leaders that we have, our corporate staff that really care. We care because we see the impact we're making, and we're not going to let anything jeopardize it. We're just not, okay? And now with that, here's the positive note. We do this the right way. You guys may be able to see benefits that you have never been able to see in your life. Again, past performance does not guarantee future results, okay? But I can tell you, I have seen some phenomenal things with what currency trading can do. I've also seen the bad side of it. I've seen where people have been able to lose money too. But here's the difference. I feel like because we have a licensed expert, someone that has 40 years of experience in this industry, is touted as one of the best trainers and traders in this industry, with multiple people that we have talked to in this industry, okay? When he carries that type of weight with what he does, I can tell you that's a big deal, because again, the advantage of MWR is having experts, And so initially, you're going to have an expert that's going to train you, make sure you understand what the risks are, make sure you understand what the potential rewards are, help you identify trades in record time. I mean, literally, I know that I forget how many seconds it was. It wasn't many, but I also know, DC, you tout and the way your system is set up, those people that get educated on this and have their own accounts that want to implement trades, literally with your 5-step program, they can identify a winning trade within 90 seconds. Am I wrong on that?
That's the name of the first course, is finding a trade, 6 ways to find a trade in under 90 seconds.
Yes. Yeah. So 6 ways, not 5. My bad. So I was thinking in regards
5 steps.
to.
You got that part.
Yeah, I got that right. 5 steps. But so that's a big deal. Imagine being able to do that and identify a trade in 90 seconds. Okay. And so that's part of the training that you're going to be able to receive with this program. And DC, I know too that there are 3 tiers to the training that the system our members will be utilizing will be able to upgrade or participate in. And I'm going to say this too, guys. First of all, there is a $50 for the first tier of training, which everybody who ever wants to participate in this program has to go through that. And if you ever want to participate in the managed fund, when that is in place, you will have had to have completed that program along with some other things that will have to be done. And we'll go through those too, as far as video consultation, all that stuff, to make sure people understand and agree to certain terms and level of risk and all that stuff, DC. I'll let you explain that. But with this, there are 3 different tiers, and our members get to participate in those tiers because DC has upgraded the entire system and is actually in the process of finishing up the additional phases, the upgrades to it as well. Our members that start now in phase 1 will already have access to the upgraded version. That's correct, right, DC?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, that program outside of MWR Financial, let's talk about Tier 1, DC. Our members get access to it for $50 a month. What do outside people that just tried to participate with your program outside of MWR Financial, what do they end up now paying for that program since you've upgraded the system?
If you just came in through the front door, you didn't know me from anybody, I didn't know you from anybody, you would see a $200 price tag.
Yeah, $200 per month. Yeah.
That's a 75% discount on something that industry standard would be $225 to $275 a month.
Yeah. So guys, big difference. And a lot of that contributes to the fact that you already have a membership with MWR Financial. And the fact that what makes it so great for DC is that he is already starting to work with people that have a level of financial literacy, that they're obtaining a level of financial literacy with our program. And because of some additional tools that we have that you'll want to utilize prior. Now, I can't force you to do this, but I can tell you, you will want to. I can tell you you're going to have to complete a consultation, even if you do not participate in our diversified cash flow account. Now, the reason being is before you can ever implement or participate in the trading platform, there is a level of or a layer of protection that we can provide by you participating in a diversified cash flow account. I want you to imagine this, because no other company out there I know of has their members do this or has people that participate in their trades do this. Imagine scheduling your consultation for a diversified cash flow account. You now have a means analysis because they see that you're doing this consultation because you want to participate in a Manage My Trades program. They do a means analysis, but then they turn around and they help you determine what your risk tolerance level is. They then help educate you and you understand and help actually establish a diversified cash flow account to where you can start funding that, start putting money into a diversified cash flow account. Now, I'm painting a hypothetical picture here for you. Let's say you had $5,000 that you accumulated in a diversified cash flow account, and they told you your risk tolerance level is that you shouldn't put more than 20% of your entire portfolio or your entire savings into any type of high-risk investment model. Well, you ended up deciding, okay, I'm going to borrow $1,000 out of that $5,000, and I'm going to put it into Manage My Trades. Because you borrowed it from yourself, that money that you borrowed out of your diversified cash flow account is still earning interest and dividends as if it never left your account. You're still earning interest and dividends on the $5,000, not the $4,000 that is left remaining in there. I want you to realize that. So that's a level of protection to where that money is still earning money over here, but now it has the potential to earn money over here. God forbid you lost money over here, it can still be recouped over here. I hope that makes sense to you. It may take a little time to recoup it over here, but because of the compounding effect of that, you can still recoup without totally losing. You may have lost over here, but you still have it earning over here. I hope you guys get that. All right, double dipping. I just saw somebody, Ken Lawrence, he just put up double dipping. What it gives you the ability to be able to do. And I'm telling you, that is a philosophy you want to implement, whether you are utilizing the trainings to implement your own trades on your own account, or whether you at some point when we are able and everything is complete to participate in a managed fund. Either or, anytime you're doing any type of additional investing, you need to make sure that's put into place so you have the ability to double dip. A diversified cash flow account put into place so you have the ability to be able to double dip and borrow from yourself. Okay. So DC, you got anything you want to add to that?
I would say it's double dipping with triple protection, because we have a couple of protections built into the way we do it that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So when you can double dip and there's a triple layer of protection in there, that gives you a whole lot of confidence in moving forward.
Yeah, no, amen. Amen. And I will tell you, we didn't finish this, DC, and I feel like I'm bouncing around a little bit. I didn't make notes on this, which is not always a good thing. But, going back to the tiers of training, the first level is $50. If you want to go to a more advanced training, it's now $75. If you want to go to the top level training, then that would be $100 per month. And you guys can decide to do that. It's optional. As you want to continue your education in currency trading. I know some of you will definitely want to do that because you're big on that. I know another portion of you say, I just want an expert to do it for me because I've already heard from a ton of you. Okay. So, and I get that, but both those things are there, but I do highly recommend you take the education that you can get. Okay. The more knowledgeable you are, then when DC is implementing trades and he's doing those live on a managed fund, so you can see how your money is being traded right there live. When you have that ability, that level of transparency, which that's another thing that you don't see with a lot of companies that do this. They don't publicize the trading that they're doing. Okay. You're going to get to see the good, bad, and the ugly. DC may do a trade and he may lose money and you might be sitting right there watching it, but then he also educates through the process and says, now we lost money on that trade, but let me show you how we end up reversing this or how we recover from it. And sometimes that can be the most priceless education you can get, is figuring out how to get yourself out of trouble if you're doing your own trade. Okay. But so those things are going to happen, but those tiers outside of MWR are 200, 400, and I believe 600 for your top level training a month, isn't it, DC?
Correct. At the for the group level, I do have one-on-one consultations that even go on up above that. But for the top level of understanding that a trader may want to go, like Mr. House said, it's optional, right? The beginning level, even if I were not going to be trading for myself, we're giving you those questions to ask somebody before you ever put your money in the hands of a person. You have to convince us to put your money in the fund, not us trying to come to you and convince you that you want to put money in the fund. It's the reverse. This is totally.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal. I'm glad you said that, DC, because that provides a lot of clarification. We're not begging you to put money in a fund. You're going to have to prove you're worthy of putting money into a fund, that you have the funds to put into a fund, that you're not using your rent money to put into a fund, okay? You're using expendable income or cash flow that you have to be able to do that will not hurt you if you lost it. I hope that's clear. But I love that type of a scenario because, again, that doesn't happen everywhere, guys. Most people will just take your money, okay? And so we want to do it the right way. But go ahead, DC. Were you going to say something else?
So I think that's a big part of it. And I love the way that Brian Dean kind of brought it all together for those that were in Fort Lauderdale or maybe even heard about that when he talked about his million, billion, trillion. I think we have a unique opportunity here with MWR. We've got a CEO that is first class, world class. He's $1 million CEO, right? We're working to grow a $1 billion company in a $1 trillion industry.
Wow.
That's powerful. When you understand million, billion, trillion, like Mr. Bean brought it together, like nobody else I've ever seen could do that. Right. To sit and listen to Brian and I ramble on the stage, and he come up there $1 million, billion, trillion, pull it all together. I think notes on my own. I thought, that's good. I need to write that down. And so I think this is the way that it is designed to be. This is a $1 trillion industry. It's been very, very good to me through the years, to myself and my family. This is my way of giving back to an industry that has lost some of that transparency. It's lost some of that integrity. So we want to do it in such a way that we will show you how to find the trade, how to take the trade if you choose to, and how I'm managing the trade, because I'm taking it right inside the fund in the middle of class. We're talking about what's going on in the fund. And so when you decide that you want to participate in a fund, or maybe you want to call up where you have your money setting, if it's outside of MWR, and ask some better questions. You know, I think that you need to ask questions. Nobody is going to treat your money as seriously as you should. And so you need to treat your money seriously. And that's what Making Wealth Real is all about. You know, I came and I looked at the company and I thought, here is a company that does that. And so that is something that we're in alignment with. If you're in alignment with it, if this resonates with you, then we could do a tremendous synergistic thing with the other professionals. And again, you hit on this. I don't know if it was in this conversation, but this is not the end all be all. This is a piece of the puzzle. Yeah. So do not skip go, do not, collect $200. This is a part of the overall portfolio, a speculative portion that you're looking for growth on. This is a growth fund, and it's called by the industry, we are speculators. We are speculating in a growth industry. You should never take all of your portfolio and put it into something that's highly leveraged. And when you said 200 to 1, I wish the industry would regulate it to that. Most people use a VPM to get 400 to 3,000 to 1 leverage. They don't even know what they're signing up for.
No.
And that's what the number one thing. They over leverage their trade and they blow their account the next thing they know. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen through education. Whether you're doing it here, whether you thought about doing it somewhere else, take these questions down, ask better questions. You're going to get better answers here at MWR.
Yeah. And you know what? Talking about that, DC, as far as the leverage and the margins that people were able to utilize, I'm not going to mention any names, but we had a gentleman that, and Dom, I don't know if you remember this or not, but about 2 years ago, that was at an event that we had, and he was someone that was working with us with MWR, and he was doing trading, DC, and on a highly leveraged account, okay, where he was playing on some pretty big margin. And I literally, and this is guys, you always hear about the good, okay? I'm going to tell you a little story about the bad, and then DC can tell you some good too. But I literally watched him lose $160,000 in about 12 to 15 minutes, standing there in the back of the room with him. And I could not believe it. I was like, are you kidding me that you would let that happen? And he kept thinking, it's going to turn. It's going to turn. It's going to turn. And he rode that thing over that 12 to 15 minutes. And because he was so highly leveraged, he blew his account. Blew his entire account in 12 to 15 minutes. Now, I don't know about you guys. Again, that would make me sick if that happened, if I lost that in that short of a period of time. But at the same time, those are some of the things that can happen. And especially if you don't have the right type of stop losses and measures in place to mitigate or limit those type of losses. I mean, literally, he should have, if the greed factor hadn't set in with him to try to get such a big gain to where he ended up taking such a big loss, if he would have set a stop loss to where, hey, I can't lose more than 10% of my portfolio if this goes the wrong way, or I can't lose more than 20% if he had a higher risk, whatever it is, then he'd still have 80 to 90% of that money that he could have worked on identifying a better trade and trying to work his way out of it. But because he didn't put those things in place, he just lost. And that's the problem. That's my fear for a lot of you. And I'm saying this publicly, is that I don't want to see you get greedy. I want to see you do the right things. When you make a profit, take out a portion of that profit. You can let some of it continue to build if you want to, but take out a portion of that profit until you get your initial investment back. Until you get your initial investment back. And let that initial investment ride a little bit. Maybe you take a smaller percentage if you feel comfortable with it going, but always get your seed money back. Get your seed money back, okay, before you go putting more money into it. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Now, that's the conservative side of me, because I don't take those type of huge risks. And I'm going to take some risk here based off of my risk tolerance level. I can already tell you. If DC looked at me and said, hey, you need to put in a couple $1 million in this account, I would say, you're nuts. I'm not doing it. and my contribution to this will be minimal, just like I expect you guys to, based on your risk tolerance level. Some of you will be higher than mine, okay, on risk tolerance. I know where mine's at, okay, but I'm looking forward to what the education can provide, and I'm looking forward to the fact that we want to disrupt this industry, guys. We want to make sure that we're talking about the good, bad, and the ugly. We're being transparent, and we're setting people up to win by trying to mitigate or limit losses by doing the right things and teaching them to do those right things through DC's program and our program here with Manage My Trades. All right. So now with that, Dom, you got anything you want to ask DC specifically, or anything you can think of about the program that you'd like to know, or Gerald, that you think somebody else might like to know? I know you've been paying attention to comments.
Well, I would say this. First, I want to say thank you to Giselle Curio and Anna Rodriguez, because they've been doing the Spanish translations, and that's a yeoman effort to do that. Yes. So everyone, put in the comments, let's get some emojis and thank them for doing that, because that's big time. They've been doing it every week, and we haven't said it. I just want to make sure that we appreciate them for stepping up and being willing to help that Spanish group. So thank you.
Yes.
DC, I had some people ask two things. One, I think most people want to see their money grow, but they're not sure what to do and how to do it. And even if they go through the training, they get a little skeptical. So what I love about the concept of Manage My Trade is that an expert is doing it for you, so you can see what's going on. And I love that we're having the education, so you have a general understanding of what's happening, and you can see it live happen, but you're at least, your money's going to grow based on what the expert is doing, and then it grows that way. So I think that's what's exciting. But people are asking, and I saw a few questions, when someone puts their money into this account, how long before they would be able to pull any of it out, like any of their profits out, or if they saw that they were profiting at a level that they wanted to kind of pull some of that seed money out that Brian was just talking about, how long of a period, a holding period, would that be?
Yeah, so most of the details on the managed fund are the things that we're working out specifically with the regulator. So I want to make sure that I've cleared it with them before I give too many specifics here. But a standard holding time would be like if you work for a company and you became vested over 6 years. We don't have that here. We're talking like maybe you become vested over 6 months. So if you grow it for 6 months, I obviously, as the funds manager, have to know how long I have to work with the money. So it's not a fluctuating balance. It comes in, I know how much I have to work with. I know when it's going to be traded up until this point. Then you'll be given an opportunity to put in a withdrawal request. I would say plan on 6 months, don't touch it. But then at the 6 month time, pull it out, and you'll have a quarterly opportunity to pull it out from that point forward.
And I'm going to say something too, because Tom, we kind of had this discussion earlier, actually, and I'm going to say this, but there is something different in regards to a managed fund compared to some of the accounts that people deal with out there, like DC PAM accounts, for example, right, where people are literally having trades triggered on their accounts, which allows them to pull it in and out every single day if they wanted to. You know what I mean? That's a different animal. When you have a managed fund and you have a brokerage that is dealing with this fund and a trader that is dealing with this fund, I want you to understand the profit that DC and as a trader for the company, and the profit for brokerages, everything else, everybody involved with that. DC, how do I say this without giving it all away? It's only done, and we're not going to talk about percentages. We'll talk about that later, but they only make a profit when they exceed what's called a hurdle rate. Okay. And a hurdle rate can be set at 1% a month, 2%, 3% a month. And I'm not going to go into those details because I know, DC, we're ironing those things out. But I'm going to paint a picture for you. Let's say we set a hurdle rate at 3%. That means that you would have to make a minimum of 3% before DC or the brokerage or anybody managing the fund, all the staff that it takes to do all this stuff, before that whole organization makes any money off of it, they have to exceed that 3% per month. Now imagine making 3% per month. That's 36% a year. By the rule of 72, that's your money doubling every 2 years at just the hurdle rate. But when they exceed that, they make a profit off of it, and you make additional profit off of it, which could potentially go to 4% or 5% or 6% or 10%, depending on what kind of month they had. All right. Now, again, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. All these, disclaimers that we need to say, but it's also set up in that way to give the trader the incentive to perform extremely well with your money and make sure they are doing everything they can to keep from losing you money, because if they do, they don't make any money. That's who I want trading for me. I want somebody with that type of incentive to where the only way he can make money is after he has already made me money. Okay, so I hope you guys get that. But
here's another question that's out there. Is a lot of people are asking the question, is there a minimum that's going to be required to open up their Manage My Trade account?
So the Manage My Trade, of course, we are talking about two different things. Make sure this is clear.
And I'm going to say this too. Let me stop you real quick, DC, because we're going to eliminate a few questions here in regards to Manage My Trades. The actual fund, guys, you will get more details on that as we get closer to completing that process. Asking those questions now, I can understand. You want to know, and it's exciting about doing that. But until we have the compliance stuff set up and everything done, and literally DC, his compliance attorney is actually in the room with him. I'm just going to tell you, I saw him just a second ago behind the banners you got behind you, DC, as he was helping you put it up before we got started. But at the same time, his compliance attorney is right there. He's not going to be able to sit there and give you answers in regards to the managed fund until those things are finalized. And so I hope that clears that up, because if we talk about anything, we probably need to be asking questions right now in regards to the training, in regards to getting, that piece of it, what it's going to entail, because all that other stuff will be covered when that's ready to roll out. I hope that clears that up.
That's great answer. I mean, it's a great answer. Yeah. I know the only other thing I saw, and this starts to get in a level of complexity. So I know a few people have this, and I don't want to get real complex, but people are asking about different kinds of trades, like swing trades and different things like that. Are we doing that? And that, I think they'll learn some of the things that are going to happen through exactly what Brian just talked about through training.
Yeah, all that's going to be training. And the main thing I would cap it off with is I did not come from a retail space. I came from an institutional space. So I approach trading like a hedge fund, like a bank, like a corporate office. So instead of me trying to take my $1,000 and grow it to $1 million someday, I learned how to start with, a few million and not break the bank. And so I'm teaching an institutional perspective in a retail space. That's what makes what we're teaching very unique from what's out there. I only know a handful of people in the world that would be willing to put their reputation on the line and take a trade in front of you. Let you look in over my shoulder and see what I'm doing. And you're going to have 2 hours to ask questions while I'm doing it. You'll say, okay, well, why did you do this? Or why did you do that? I'm going to have you picking trades a week or two in, and I'm going to be trading the trade you picked. So, I mean, it's going to be a very community interactive environment, and all of your questions are going to be answered right there. Well, why is it this, or why isn't it that, or can we do that? And we'll cover that all in class.
Well, I love it. I love it. And really, Brian, the big thing is that compliance is the key here. I know Bruce Lynch talked about that. I saw that, but it really is. And what I love about MWR is that it's a special place because we care about you and we want to make wealth real for you in a very serious way. And when you look at all the platforms, especially the ones that we most recently have added, and you look at the foundational platforms that are going to increase your money, and then you think about how we can now multiply that money. But the biggest key is, and you heard DC talk about this earlier, you heard Brian refer to this, the greatest thing you have is the opportunity, because that's what's going to allow you to accelerate and be able to increase the money and grow the money that you really want multiplied. So that's what's exciting, is that you can put yourself in whatever position you need. Even if you aren't in a position initially, it can get there by just simply the opportunity that it is with MWR and the services and everything that's plugged in. They're for you. They're for you to benefit, for you and your family. So I'm excited that we are always going to stand by compliance. I'm excited that we will never, ever, because this is the goose that's laying all the golden eggs, and we're going to protect those golden eggs and the goose.
Well, hey, listen real quick, and I'm going to let DC kind of close it out with any closing comments and stuff. Guys, I'm going to give you some details right now, okay? Be watching your email. For those of you, obviously our leaders already know, we're hoping that here early next week that our system will allow them to, it won't be open in our back office, but it'll be open to certain people on our leadership team that will be able to access the training in the system and begin that process next week. Okay. In addition to that, as soon as they are set up, within probably the following week, DC, I'm thinking, if not sooner, I know we want to do something because of a trading thing that is coming up by April something. I forget what it was you told me. Or March. Yeah. To where you guys, will be able to set up. Some of you already have your trading accounts and things like that. But DC, will there also be some training for people on setting up their accounts? What accounts you recommend for currency trading?
I started to answer the question. I'm getting a finger wagging at me over here. It just says don't change from recommend to we have some suggestions.
Exactly.
So we have some suggestions to walk you through that process. I won't be recommending any particular broker platform, but I will use the suggestions of what we use in class.
Exactly. So, and I've got to watch my own language. So, guys, I'm going to tell you something too, and that's a really good thing you did there. And like I said, I know Jeff is sitting there with you, your compliance attorney, but I've got to watch what I say. And here's what I am going to say: you're not going to hear me talking a lot about technical sides of the training or suggestions or recommendations or those type of things. I'm not going to do it. These things, and you're not going to do it, because what we're going to end up doing is we're going to cover those things in recorded live trainings. Now, I'm going to tell you, I know some of you have asked, and as leaders, can I talk to him? I got a few questions for him about this and about that and stuff. No, you can't. No, you can't. You can participate in the trainings and you can ask your questions there. We have got to protect his time and allow him to be able to do the things that are necessary in order for us to complete the tasks at hand. Okay? He has got to focus on trading, training, and then setting up a managed fund. You want to delay that process, just keep asking and trying to get him on Zooms and lives and trying to ask, see if you could do a 15-minute, call with him and all this stuff. It'll all be covered in training. You'll be able to ask everything online. Okay. But I'm telling you right now, listen, he is his own man, but I'm going to do this because we're working together. He is prohibited from speaking to you individually unless myself or Indamo approve it, because we're already answering a ton of questions from you guys, waiting on everything to be completed. We're not going to take up his time with that. Okay? We'll cover it in trainings. You'll get everything you need to know. And so I hope that makes sense. And I hope I feel like I sound like a dictator when I say that, and I don't mean it that way. I hope you guys don't take it the wrong way, but it's just stuff we have to do, and there's a lot going on right now.
Well, you know what, Brian? That's part of why we are not on the typical Thursday calls where the experts are breaking down some of the what they do, because we're not the experts. We let the experts do what they do. So we have to protect all of our experts. And I know everybody wants to kind of get that little one-on-one with them. It's just not possible. We're growing too fast, too big. So we have to let our experts do what they do and stay in their specific lane. And when you have a Ask the Expert, that's why we have an Ask the Expert button. That's why we have these continual calls that are education that happens, so you get to see them, and then they can talk. And then some of them now are opening up to questions. I know last week there were a lot of questions answered because it was very interactive. I know that'll be the case with DC's already talked about that community approach. You'll be able to get all your questions answered. The diversified cash flow account, there's some people asking, well, can I take the money out of the diversified cash flow account, put it in the managed by trades, and then take the money from the managed by trades, put it back in the diversified? All those questions, I know you have them. Go ask the experts. They will tell you what's good for you. Not a general rule of thumb, but what's good specifically for you and your situation.
Amen. Well, listen, go ahead, Gerald. What are you going to say?
And I'll get off real quick, but if you're going to play in this space, I think we've created the right structure. This is going to ensure that we win. So this is so strong right here. And I needed DC a couple of years ago, because I played in this space and without this sort of guidance and advice, and took a hit, and one of those accounts is still bleeding out right now. But I was fortunate enough to at least get my initial investment back. So the bleeding is house money, but I wasn't so fortunate on the first time around and took a total loss there. But again, the education piece that we add, this whole transparency, the way you come at this is like nothing else. Nobody else is doing this. I wasn't given this advice. I didn't sit down and consult with those so-called experts prior to those guys taking my money. I was fired up because there was a lot of hype behind it. The returns were good. It seemed like, until I got in, and then it all went south. and you can't recover from this. You know, you can't recover from this. Nobody's picking up the phone. The office doesn't even exist anymore in many cases. So this is what we have to be careful about, and that's why I love the approach that you're taking, Brian and DC and Adamo. What you put in place here is going to ensure or increase at least our ability to win. But now we can get in this game, and we've got knowledge, and I love the whole component about the training to even learn this space, you know, to understand fully how this whole thing works. This is set up like nothing else has ever been set up. I've been monitoring this space for years. Brian, I know you've looked at this for multiple years and kind of, you know, wanted to get in, but wanted to set it up where we could actually put people in a position where they can win, mitigate loss, and then bring on a licensed, trained, seasoned expert trader like DC Eastman. We're fortunate enough to find him. So now, guys, I think we've got everything that we need, no question about it. And add, you know, diversified cash flow account and all the other pieces that we've got. We've got a winner here, no question about it. I'm loving this. I'm loving it. I'm loving it, sir. And DC, you've had a chance to kind of look at one of those accounts that I shared with you, and the one that's bleeding consistently right now. And I wanted to ask you, would you have advised me on if I had bought that to you before me doing what I did? You looking at the structure of that particular account right now, that currency account, would you have advised me to do it?
Yeah, I would have told you, based on what I can see, here's 4 questions to ask, and it's the same 4 I asked, and they failed 3 of 4. So I would have said, no, pass on it.
Yep.
There you go, guys. That's it right there. That's the advantage right there. That's what we've got here.
Well, listen, guys, we went over our hour, which is fine because this was well worth going over the hour. But at the same time, DC, you got any closing comments? Anything you want to tell people before we call it a night?
I think just so you and I both don't get off here feeling like we were dictators. When you get in class, guys, we're going to have fun. It's going to be fun once we've taken care of all the details. My kids like it. My grandkids like it. It's a family affair around my house, you know, so when you can bring your kids on and they can learn a skill set that's with them for life. I mean, how many of you wish you would have had this conversation when you were a teenager? Imagine the advantage you're giving your kids, your grandkids. So make it fun. We will make it fun, but we're going to make wealth real.
I love it. I love it. DC, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Guys, be watching your emails. We will be